So our first session is about your team meetings this season. We know that COVID-19 has changed the entire world, including how FLL teams meet and interact with each other. This session, Keeping Up Team Morale Remotely, will be presented by Dannie Strubhar and Emily McKaskle. Dannie is the Central Texas first senior mentor and a judge advisor. She has been an FLL coach since 2015 and has judged FLL across multiple regions and multiple world championships. Emily is living proof that in FLL, kids really do the work. Because prior to coaching her first FLL season, she had no experience in robotics or programming. She's coached 3 teams, including Club Oreo, the Blue Jay Bots, and the Harry Botters. Now in her 7th year of coaching, her teams run the spectrum of the motto, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. But they always succeed in the most important goal, to have fun. All right, so let's get started. Emily and Dannie.
Hi. I have a slideshow that hopefully will share some information about how I think we can approach this challenge of meeting remotely. I currently teach 2 teams, the Harry Botters, and they meet almost entirely remotely. So that's kind of a challenge. There is one team member that I've literally never met in person. I've waved to him from my car as I dropped something off. So it's a challenge, but I think it's an important challenge for us to try and, rise to the occasion.
I've been coaching a while as well, and I just have one team this year. And I found that, when you first start, it is kind of disorienting because you might be used to the things that you did as a live coach. But the more you practice, the more you'll find ways to still do those interactions, still encourage teamwork, still encourage, like we have a lot of situations where one of our teammates might say, oh, but this isn't working, but this isn't working. And you could say, oh, everything's falling apart. Or you can say, hey, that's an opportunity to teach them how do you practice teamwork? How do you, on the fly, help them fix that problem and get back going? So it's all the same things that need to be taught. It's just a different environment. And I'll hand it back to you, Emily.
Okay. And then I included the bios because I wasn't sure if Kelly was going to read them. And then I also said at the end that I'm more long-winded than Dannie because my bio seems so much longer in retrospect. Okay, so to me, the team morale thing is the same as it is every season. It's about core values. It's about teaching them how to, like Dannie was just saying, how to rise to the challenge that they're facing right now. That's always the most important part. We know that as coaches, and so we just have to get back to that and focus on that over and over again. And like Dannie said, just think of this as opportunities to teach them how to face challenges throughout their life, not just in the time of COVID, not just in FLL, but forever. And then why is this more important this year than any other year, as far as I'm concerned? It's because our kids are more stressed out than ever. I don't think there are very many kids who participate in FLL who are super chill and relaxed all the time. They're kids that are ambitious, largely. And they're worried, and their parents are worried that they're falling behind. I see this with the kids I coach, and I see this with my own kids as well. They need that sense of normalcy, and we can help provide that for them. I think of myself this season not only as a coach, but also sort of an emotional support animal for all the kids on my team, because they need something that we can give them that their parents can't. The kids who are spending most of the time with their family, they need that outside interaction, and they can get it through FLL. In a way that's less formal and less strict than school. And it's hard when we're meeting on Zoom, but we're making it work. One of my tips for the Zoom meetings is to have shorter meetings and more often. I have one team that meets in person, and we have, 2 hours on a Sunday. The team that meets remotely, we meet for like an hour on a Sunday and an hour one other day, because 2 hours on Zoom is a lot. So that's one quick tip. This is, our chance to be their safe place, their fun place. So it's more important than ever that they have fun. I want to stress that even before COVID, the goal I always had for every team I've ever taught, and that includes the all-girls team I coached. That was the first team I coached. They participated for 4 years and they went to Worlds twice. They were very ambitious. Almost despite their ambitions, my goals as coach were always for them to have fun, for them to learn anything, and for them to have enough fun that they wanted to do it next year. That was always my goal. I feel like the kind of kid that participates in FLL a lot, and I know this is not universally true, but they are either pushing themselves or their families are pushing them. So as the coach, we need to be there to support their goals and to nudge them, but we don't always have to push them. We can say it's okay to have fun in this amount of time and then work, or usually we work and then we have fun. But if they know that fun time is coming, that can really help them get more work done. So how do we make this happen? I sort of organized it into 4 big ideas. One is stay organized, communicate, and communicate that your expectations for this year may be different than for other years, and have fun, and then reach out to other teams. I try to organize my teams with Google Docs. In our school district, the kids use Google Classroom. And so that's something they're super familiar with. And they're kids of all ages on my teams know how to get in there and organize a Google Sheet or a Google Doc or something like that. And that helps. Google Calendar in terms of keeping the kids and the parents informed about when meetings are and that kind of thing is helpful. There's also a tool that we've been using called Padlet that Danny introduced me to, and I'm going to show you a preview of what that looks like. That's an online tool that I really like. And then also Trello, which is similar to Padlet, but I think it's they're very similar, and they both have free options, which is nice because, you don't have to pay for them. So this is Padlet. And like I said, Danny introduced me to this, and it's just a way of organizing all of our missions and who is working on what. I feel like the more information the kids have about what we are expecting them to do, the more they can kind of calm down and relax a little bit. So for example, if you see under slide, the slide mission, Rithik is in charge of that. So if Rithik knows, okay, this is the only one I need to do, his level of knowledge, he can be like, okay, I'm in charge of this. Someone else is doing step counter. I don't have to worry about step counter until it comes time for me to review someone else's work. So just the more knowledge they have about what is expected of them, the more they can, that's just a level of stress that's removed, I guess. And then here, oh, where'd my Trello slide go? There's my Trello slide. So this is what Trello looks like. You can see it's very similar in terms of, it's basically a digital Kanban board. If you've ever used one of those, you have a to-do, a doing, and a done column, and you can move things from column to column. You can see for the Harry Potters, under done, we've come up with ideas for project, and we've gone on our field trip. So, and that team, even though we meet remotely, most of the team agreed that going on a hike outside was something that they were comfortable doing, even though we weren't meeting in person. So that was a fun activity that we could do together, but that was still socially distanced. So yeah, just make sure your team has set reasonable goals for this year. It's a lot of times kids come in and they're like, oh, we want to score all the points. Well, that's never realistic. Almost never realistic. And it's less realistic this year than ever. So make sure that they are setting reasonable goals. That's one of the things that coaches are in charge of, in my opinion. I know kids do the work, but when it comes to goals, it's our job to help them manage what their goals are and what their expectations are. And then make sure that all the kids are on the page with that, and make sure all of the parents are on the page. This is a great opportunity if you have any parents who are a little helicoptery, is that a word? For you to communicate with them that this isn't going to be a year necessarily where your team knocks it out of the park. This is a year where we learn and we have fun and we relax a little bit. We develop our skills. Those are all good goals for this year in the time of COVID, when we're all under extra stress. But make sure your parents know that as well as the kids. Under the have fun, my team, the Harry Botters, that meets remotely, I said we have one weekly meeting that's an hour. Our Thursday meeting we've sort of decided that's going to be our fun meeting. All of the kids on that team are doing school remote, and some of them are very limited in their social contact. So I decided this year it was more important for us to have time building those relationships as a team than it is for us to be making progress in terms of scoring points on our robot. So now that we spent the first part of our season everybody getting the same robot, and now that everybody has the same robot, our Sunday meetings are going to be robot and project, and our Thursday evening meetings are going to be team building and having fun, because I feel like they really need that. So I've listed some things that you can do digitally that are games, interactive kinds of things. The picture you see up there is a game called Drawful that we've been playing online and the kids really love. It's sort of like Pictionary and sort of like charades, and it's very silly. And that's a lot of fun. We've done personal Kahoots where people come up with silly questions about themselves that you don't really expect anyone to know, but it's just a way to get to know one another. This team in particular has kids from 3 different grades and 4 different schools. And so it's more important than ever that, and several of them have never met one another in person. It's important that we have that opportunity to get to know one another. This team is unique because for me as a coach, I've always had teams of kids that knew each other. They went to the same school. That's not the way this team formed. And so they need to have that time to get to know one another and know silly things about one another. You probably have heard of the game Among Us. That's another one that my teams have played. It's a very popular game right now. And so that's the game that we use as a reward. Like, okay, when we can score X number of points, we're going to have a full hour of playing Among Us. Full hour turned out to be a little long for me. But the kids had a great time. To me, the encouraging thing about the day we played Among Us as a team is it was a robot day. And even though we worked on robots first, when they got to the point where they could score all the points, I was like, okay, let's report back in and share what we did, and then we'll start playing. And there were several kids who still wanted to keep working on what their thing was, even though it was time for our reward game. So that was fun. You can also play, there's a game called One Night a Werewolf, which is super fun. All of these games are pretty short. I mean, you can play them in 10 to 15 minutes. And it's just a nice break from the normal stress of having to accomplish things. So those are super fun games that you can play online. Scavenger hunts are just we did this one day where it was like, and we did this actually before everybody had their mats. And it was like, okay, go find, 2 cans of vegetables from the kitchen, and go find a marker, and go find a sheet of paper. And so they collected all of these different things. And then I had them drive their robot, the robot they had in their house, through the cans, set the cans a foot apart and have your robot drive through the cans. So that was both a scavenger hunt and a skill building activity. And then the other thing that I wanted to say, I think this is the last slide before we're going to move on to Q&A, is this is the perfect year to reach out to other teams that are not nearby you. You can reach out to teams from literally anywhere in the world this year. This is actually something we've always had the option of doing, but this is a really good year to do it, because if we're not meeting other teams in person, we might as well meet other teams that are in Pennsylvania or Oregon or somewhere far away. So find other teams and have learn a skill from them, or play a game with them, do mock judging with them. We were lucky enough to meet a team in Pennsylvania that they did a whole session with us where they taught us how to use Studio 2.0, which is a Lego design CAD program that we were struggling with as a team. And they were able to come in and spend an hour teaching us how to use it. And then an hour we played a game online for 30 or 40 minutes. And it was just great to get to meet this other team. And they had a really fun team culture, and it was fantastic to interact with them. So this is the year to reach out to teams remotely and help support other teams, and just take that extra step to do something fun. And then I guess my actual last slide is, do not forget how important it is that the kids are having fun. My goal as a coach is, I said this before, for them to have fun and learn anything and want to do it the next year. Like, the big goal for me personally is I want them to love this enough that they're still doing it when they graduate from high school. That's not always true. That doesn't happen for every kid, but it definitely won't happen if this is only stress and just one more thing they have to do. They fall in love with robotics when they have fun at robotics. And so that's true for every season. It's even more important now. To me, the skills they learn in robotics is all about teaching kids that they have control and power over things. You learn how to program a robot, and you learn your own skills and intelligence and all of those things. They need that now more than ever. And we can help them learn those things. We can help them with that. So really focus on the fun, but also this is their superpower, and that'll get them through this. Danny, do you want to jump in and say anything, add anything? I'm going to stop sharing, and maybe I'll stop sharing. Whoops.
No, I agree with everything that you said. I mean, some of the experiences that I've had, because I have a pretty small team this year, but they've all done it before, so I try to let them run the meeting. But there's still times I don't step in to tell them how to do their project or how to do their robot, but there's still times where they don't know what teamwork looks like, and you sometimes have to model that. Before you tell somebody that they did something wrong, find something positive to say about what they've accomplished, because everybody contributes something valuable. Even when we're brainstorming project ideas, it's very easy for the team members just to say, oh, well, that won't work because of this reason, that won't work because of that reason. And so as a coach, accentuate what it was that was positive about their contribution. Oh, that was very unique, that was very creative. And so your job isn't to do the work, your job is to train them how to constructively contribute to the conversation. And so even though I do have a very hands-off approach, I find that there's still a lot of value in me guiding them just on the process of how to work together. And that it's much more rewarding for me, because now, like when I see, and my son is one of my team members, but now when I see him contribute to the team, I kind of feel like it's okay for him to have, you know, ideas that I know won't make it through because the whole process is working. You know, he's contributing, other people are giving feedback, but it is still important that you are modeling for them how to be a good team member, how to encourage people for the positive things that they add, even though every idea is not going to get flushed through and be part of the final solution. And the problem we're having right now is just trying to pick from a lot of non-perfect ideas. Like everybody wants that perfect idea with the perfect mentors and the perfect solutions. And so as a coach, you know, I can't let them wait to find that perfect project idea.
Yeah.
I have to like narrow it down, give them a decision matrix, say, okay, these are the ideas you have. Go and just, you know, measure the ideas that you already have and decide, you know. So my role has been giving them a deadline. But I've been pleasantly surprised that I can step back. And the thing is, like, at first it makes them uncomfortable to have to like take accountability for their own decisions, but you have to let them feel uncomfortable. You have to,
Yeah.
if they don't take that jump and take ownership of the decisions that they make, then they'll always be waiting for you to make the decision for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've enjoyed coaching this year much more, because I've kind of just let them own that.
That's really, really great to hear.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Emily, I really like the idea of giving them awards, like for when they're focused and then they get to do something fun that's completely off first leg of the topic, because you're right, like some of these children are so passionate, but they do need to remember that they need a break. They need a brain break, things like that. And I really want to check out one night a werewolf now. That sounds so much fun. So we did have a question. How much time do each of your teams spend on FLL each week?
So my team that meets in person, and we meet outdoors with masks, all that kind of stuff. We happen to have a nice physical space outdoors that we can meet. We meet for 2 hours a week. This past week we had a school holiday, so we met an extra 2 hours that day. So we will probably, this is a team this is their 4th year, I think. Yeah, their 4th year. So as we get closer to competition, we will probably add in an extra day so that we're meeting a total of 4 hours a week. My newer team, we meet about, it's coming out to be about 2.5 hours a week, but they're divided, the meetings are divided up. And then also, I keep telling them that if they want to have a one-on-one Zoom meeting with me, so we can, you know, work on something else, but so far no one's taken me up on that. So, but the meetings are, yeah, they're about 2 hours total, 2.5 hours total for that team.
Okay. And how about you, Danny?
And we meet twice a week. The first meeting is just for robot, and sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 2 hours. And then the second one is during the week. And we try to isolate a project meeting, because when we try to put both of them together, then one of them runs over and then you run out of time for projects. So we do have another meeting, which I always tell them I want it to be half an hour, but it always ends up being an hour when we talk about projects. So probably right now between 2 and 3 hours a week we're meeting.
Nice. And then do you all set like homework for your teams, especially when you only meet like 2 hours a week? Do you have them prepare and then come to each meeting prepared with something?
I keep telling them to come prepared with things, and I think maybe 50% of the kids do. You know, like I'll say, you know, write a program that does this, and then I'll have, you know, 2 or 3 kids that do it and are so excited to show it off. And then there's always a kid who's like, oh, but I still don't have a 7 long beams, so I can't do the thing I'm supposed to do. And it's like, okay, well, we'll just be patient with that.
Nice, nice. All right. And then we did have one more question. Do either of you have teams that like half the students attend school or can meet in person and the others meet remotely? Do you have any experience with that? Or with your teams?
So on my team that meets in person, there's actually one girl who is in school and the others are not. So we just, we manage it by, we all wear masks, which is challenging sometimes because the kids want to take them off, and I'm like, okay, you go walk way over there and have a mask break and then come back. My son in particular. But we have hand sanitizers and masks, and we meet, we try and stay a little bit different, a little bit separated. Mm-hmm. We don't have super heavy cleaning regimens for the Legos, because we just don't. And so far it's been okay.
Nice. Awesome. Oh, Danny.
Oh, I was going to say we have a pretty small team, so it turned out all of our members do have the robot kit, and they've been managing group work by just passing around the same LCAD file. So that, like, right now we're really just trying to converge on having the same robot, which I think they do, but it's just managing it through that LCAD file to confirm. And they do spend a lot of the meeting like spinning it around and checking each other's and comparing it to their physical model. To make sure it's the same.
Very cool. Well, thank you both for joining us today. I really appreciate it.